Ready.
Hi, class. My name is Esme Cruz, and then today my claim of fact speech is about animal testing. For some of you guys that don't know what animal testing is, a definition provided by Cruelty Free International stated that an animal test is any scientific experiment or test in which a live animal is forced to undergo something that is likely to cause them pain, suffering, distress, or lasting harm. Some animals that are involved in this are fishes, rats, rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters, birds, and even cats. My major claim is that animal testing is unnecessary for scientific research. Today I have three secondary claims. That is, animal testing is unnecessary because there are better alternatives to animal testing. Two is that animal testing is unnecessary because it harms animals and they're not protected by the Animal Welfare Act. And my third one is that animal testing is necessary because experiments and testing can go wrong. So for my first point about how there are alternative methods to animal testing is that PETA, the largest animal rights organization in the world, stated that researchers have developed a wide range of computer models that simulate human biology and progression of developing disease. Studies show that these models can accurately predict the ways that new drugs will react in the human body and replace the use of animals, research, and many standard drugs. My second point is that animal tests are also more expensive than alternative methods. A website, Human Society International, talks about, it has like all these different charts, how like animal testing is $10,000 cheaper if you do it in a lab, which is vitro testing. For example, an unscheduled DNA synthesis testing with animals costs about $32,000. And if you do it in a lab, it's only $11,000. And then not only that, alternative methods have shown to lead to safer and more effective products. My secondary claim is that animals testing is unnecessary because it harms animals and they're not protected by the Animal Welfare Act. Gail Thompson, in his book, he argues that it is just ethical to concede rights to animals because to treat animals with less respect than humans is speciesism, which is a force of prejudice. Animals cannot speak up for themselves. If humans wish to live up to their ethical natures, they should act with compassion. They should recognize that animals have inherent worth and they're not commodities to be used. Another thing is that animals used in experiments are not protected by the Animal Welfare Act. A website, procon.org, should animals be used for scientific research, stated that 95% of these animals used in experiments are not protected by the Animal Welfare Act. The AWA covered about 820,000 animals used for testing in the year of 2006, which leaves around 25 million other animals that are not covered. These animals are especially vulnerable to mistreat and abuse without the protection of the Animal Welfare Act. My last claim is that animal testing is unnecessary because experiments and testing can go wrong. A website, procon.org, stated that animal tests or the arthritis drug Vioxx showed that it has a protective effect on the hearts of mice. Yet, when the drug went on to cause more than 27,000 heart attacks and sudden cardiac deaths before being pulled from the market. These are my 3 points why animal testing is necessary for animal and for scientific research. The 3 points, which were alternative methods to animal testing, it harms animals and they're not protected by the Animal Welfare Act, and that testing and experiments can go wrong.
All right, Esmeralda, at the beginning of the speech, the proposition's clearly stated, and you have a good preview that seems like it's going to structure things pretty clearly. In the body of the speech, it got a little confusing because I heard like 3 number 2 points in a row, and that was, I wasn't sure what the heck was going on. I assume that like 2 of those number 2 points were referring to second arguments that you were making under your second point. And so you need to find a way to make sure that those are distinct and that we know that this is information that's supporting the previous point a little bit more clearly. The definitional issue is okay. There is, I think, some problem on the second point because it really feels a lot like it's a claim of value that you're dealing with here, especially with the source that you cite, Thompson, who makes it clear that it's an ethical argument, talks about speciesism, and this is one of those things that where there's an underlying agenda here that's being presented, and it's not really that much hidden. Basically, this is an argument. If we take Thompson literally at his, if we take his statement, to be absolutely true, then that means that all animal uses are illegitimate, including for food sources, including for recreational purposes, or including for like rescue animals and that sort of thing. So that this is the problem with this argument. I think that it really trying to treads into the value area a little bit. The data on alternatives being available, I think you want to find sources other than PETA, which is known to be a group that kind of supports the ideas that Thompson's talking about and maybe is kind of radical on these issues. I'm not saying what they're presenting is inaccurate, but it probably carries with it a negative connotation for people who want to discuss these issues in a logical way as opposed to the value-based argument that you're presenting. There's other information, there are other places to find information about these alternatives that are available, especially about the computer models. The effectiveness of those models does need to be demonstrated a little bit to make that first point more effective, and I think that your proof here is a little bit underwhelming. The 25 million animals that you're referring to on that second point, that's a good piece of information there. Of course, there's going to be a response statement to that when the respondent finds out what those 25 million animals are. It won't matter from Thompson and PETA's point of view what they are, but the rest of the world may care a little bit about it. I'd be careful about citing procon.org because that's not really evidence that they're presenting. What they're doing, that's what we call an aggregate site. They are telling you what the possible arguments would be, and they don't necessarily provide evidence. They're sharing an opinion here, but it's not an informed opinion, it's not expert opinion, they're just brainstorming for ideas, and quoting the brainstormed ideas could be potentially problematic. Sometimes they do have evidence citations in their arguments, and if that's what you're using, then go to the original source and quote that. Procon.org is not really a source that you ought to be citing in any of your arguments. And it's not just you, I'm talking about anybody, because I know that that's a place that people go to for a lot of information. And there are a whole bunch of those sites. Opposing Viewpoints is another place where you get those kinds of things, and debate.com. I mean, there are a lot of places online that have that sort of thing. They're aggregate sites. They don't necessarily have original information, so you want to be a little bit careful about it. I can't tell for sure what's going on here, but it sounds like it's pretty much factual data, so I don't think there's any problem with this. It feels a little bit thin on both the first and the third points. Like I said, the second point is a little bit more developed, but there are ethical, there are value issues here, and that I think makes it a little bit problematic. All right, thank you.